Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to our webinar this afternoon as part of Enterprise Week 2022 in collaboration with the local enterprise office. So this webinar is focused on EU funding and smart innovation project opportunities for businesses. So I'd like to start by thanking everyone for taking the time to join us this morning. I know it's time out of your busy schedule, so we really appreciate you coming along, and also our speakers as well that I'll introduce as we move forward. So my name is Joy Harron and I work for Economic Development in Donegal County Council. So the Strategic Funding Unit is hosting this event, and we're delighted, as I say, to be here with you this afternoon and hope that you'll find it really, really informative and really useful. So the webinar, as I mentioned, is part of Local Enterprise Week 2022, and we're delighted to be working with our colleagues in the Local Enterprise Office on a series of very interesting events all week. And this particular webinar is aimed at businesses in the digital sector and those who want to find out more about EU funding opportunities. And also, I suppose it's the do's and don'ts of getting involved in an EU project, and our speakers that we have joining us this afternoon are bringing a wealth of experience in relation to EU funding and projects in many different ways. So we have I suppose experience in managing projects, and also from a business perspective, experience in actually participating in an EU funded project as well. So without further ado, we're going to kick into our agenda, and what I'd like to do is just let you know before we begin with our first speaker that the webinar is being recorded, and we'll make it available afterwards to anyone that wants to have a look at it or who couldn't attend today. We also have a Q&A function enabled, so if anyone has any questions during the webinar, please feel free to put those in the Q&A. And at the end of the presentations, then we'll spend a bit of time going through those questions and answering them for you. So as I say, put those into the Q&A and we'll do that at the end of the webinar. Our first speaker that's joining us this afternoon is Eileen. So Eileen, we're delighted to welcome you here. And Eileen is working with the Local Enterprise Office, and she's the Enterprise Europe Network Coordinator. So Eileen has a lot of experience in working with businesses and supporting those businesses on their internationalization journey as they move to new markets. So the Enterprise Europe Network is a fantastic resource for businesses and for those that want to reach out and collaborate and work with businesses across Europe. So I'm going to hand over to Eileen, that's our first speaker, to talk us through the Enterprise Europe Network and how you can benefit from your business getting involved. So Eileen.
Hi, Joy, thanks very much for having me today. I'm just going to switch in to share my screen now just to run through my presentation here for you. Bear with me 1 second. Can everybody hear me okay?
That's perfect, Eileen, yeah.
Okay. So as Joy said, my name is Eileen Kelly and I'm the Enterprise Europe Network Coordinator with the Local Enterprise Office here. So we've just finished a 7-year programme with EEN, I'll refer to it from here on in. And what it actually is in a nutshell, is that it helps ambitious SMEs to innovate and grow internationally. Sorry. So it's the world's, click something else here, sorry. It's the world's largest support network for SMEs that have that international ambition and want to get into the other markets. So it's funded by COSME and it's at the heart of the EU's growth and jobs strategy. And we already have lots of years experience. The programme started out originally in 2008, and as I said, I've been in it since 2015. So there's significant expertise there. There's very strong connections built as well since that launch. So the second phase is just finished there now in December, and we're just finished up the reporting and we're waiting on formal notification that we're starting in the new programme now. So that's imminent, just any day now. So it's brought in new financing from COSME and Horizon 2020 that some of you have heard of as well. It's now the Horizon programme going forward. And there's a lot of exciting innovation services there to support the SMEs. So altogether, there was an investment from Europe in the last programme there of 180 million. So what the network is made up of, it's over 3,000 experts. We're in 600 different locations all around the world, and that is divided out on 69 countries at the moment. So you'll realise that's a lot more countries than we have EU members. So there's countries, there's bilateral agreements with there. So we would have reach into, we'll say, New Zealand, the South Americas, South Africa have joined recently, all Asia, Far East, Middle East, and America as well. So it's a huge, huge network. So while there's only me in Donegal, there's a network of 31 of us around the country, and we're able to reach out to those network colleagues that we have across the globe. So what does that mean for you? It actually means that it'll help your SME from this region to do business in lots of different countries. And you also get privileged access to the information on the ground. So that's what I'm here about today, is to offer you the opportunity to explore ways that we can use the network to help your business out. So how can I do that for you? It means that we're able to maintain get access to strong local knowledge, and that keeps us close to the SME clients. And we're also offering that range of international expertise that helps the innovative small businesses to achieve their ambition. There's a number of different ways that we do that. There's the partnership process, international partnerships. So that's through direct access to Europe's largest database of business opportunities. So at any given time, there'll be up to 5,500 or more opportunities there. They're divided into business, technology, and R&D. And within the business and technology, those are subdivided into offers and requests. So there's a lot of opportunities there. We also organise fast and effective matchmaking and brokerage events, and these run through on the back of a lot of the large international conferences, and that's to save clients time and money going there. And then we also do tailored company missions, and these lead to successful partnerships as well, because there's a lot of preparation goes into those, and there's the local knowledge and the expert guidance that you get from our side going out, and then that you get on the other side in connecting. We also provide advisory support services, so we have the right advice to support the SMEs and their growth ambitions. So whatever your business is, we can get the advice on the best possible market opportunities for you to help you with that international expansion. We cut through the complexities of the international expansion process and provide practical advice, targeted market intelligence, and a very personalised level of support. And then the innovation side of it, a lot of that runs through our colleagues in Enterprise Ireland. Excuse me. So we recognise that the innovation potential of the SMEs and help them to bring that into commercial success. So the experts help with the companies to innovate faster, because with the access to the network information, these companies are gaining traction much faster than without the support of the network. So that practical personal advice gives the SMEs the confidence to expand internationally, and also protecting their ideas and their assets as they grow. So that's just a very quick glance at the previous programme there. You had 14,000 companies doing deals, 200,000 different companies at international events, 2 million people participated in them. 70,000 meetings, 700,000 questions answered. The B2B matchmaking, which we run at the brokerage events and that, so that facilitated 13,000 different business connections. There's 10,000 people availed of technology opportunities, and there's 7,000 companies engaging with the network on a monthly basis. And there's technology audits ongoing as well. So there's a lot of different things there. And then just finally, as opposed to close out, that we have these sector groups in the background that provide very targeted information and accurate information across Europe and across the network. That we would have experts from, we'll say it was agro-food, so we would, at the last programme that ran on, there was maybe 40 people on that particular sector group. So you're getting a huge variety and diversity of information and a huge level of knowledge on it. So there's 17 sector groups there at the minute. They're reducing down to 15. And in the next network, obviously, there's a big drive on the whole digitisation and sustainability. And that'll be the focus going into the new programme. So anybody that wants to contact me, my number is there, feel free to use it, and my email address, and also you can sign up on the websites, en-ireland.ie. We run a newsletter on that, and we also have a database of events and everything there. So that's it in a very quick nutshell, but as I say, feel free to connect with me, and I'll be available after for the questions as well. So thank you.
That's brilliant. Eileen, thank you so much for your presentation. I think that was a fantastic insight into the Enterprise Europe network, which is a huge and valuable resource for businesses. So as Eileen says, anyone that's interested to sign up or get involved can contact her or go on the website. Yeah. It's brilliant. So a lot of opportunities for events, a lot of that local knowledge, which is hugely valuable to businesses, and sounds like a lot of businesses connecting every month, over 7,000. That's a big number. So thank you very much, Eileen, for that. So
you're welcome, Joy. Thank you.
Lovely. Our next speaker we're delighted to welcome here this afternoon is Dr. Margaret Quinn. Margaret acts as a project manager for the Donegal Digital Partnership, and she's a huge amount of experience in EU-funded projects across a wide range of areas. So one of the areas is about in relation to Digitech and looking at how digital transformation can come about. So ERNACT is a cross-border service agency for regional digital transformation, and it's managed by Donegal County Council, Derry City and Strabane District Council, and also a trans-European network of public sector organisations. So a huge amount of knowledge there, and we're looking forward to hearing more about ERNACT and about Donegal Digital. So I'll hand over to you, Margaret. Thank you.
Okay, Joy. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'll see if I can share my screen. Is that okay? You see the full screen?
Yeah, we can see it, Margaret.
Okay. So as Joy mentioned, I'm here to tell you about ERNACT and also about our local initiative for the county, Donegal Digital, and how that can be of interest to SMEs from the county. So ERNACT, first of all, it's in its 30th year, focusing on technology and digital for the region. So we're a small team. We're based in CoLab in Letterkenny. And as noted already, we're a cross-border non-profit run by the 2 local councils. But also we're a network of local authorities coming from 12 European regions. And a lot of the European projects that ERNACT's been either creating or getting involved in are all about digital, and also these days about green as well. So there's some numbers there. We're currently working with 50 different partner regions, and in all of the projects of ERNACT, there's about 160 organisations involved. If you want to know more about ERNACT, the website is ERNACT.eu, and the kind of projects, the outputs we would be generating cover technology pilots, good practices, and a lot of policy improvements, which will eventually help innovation for SMEs as well. And the sectors covered are sustainability, tourism, digital innovation, and public services. So there's a lot there. And a shout out, because today is International Women's Day, to all the wonderful women in ERNACT, and apologies to the men in ERNACT that you're not up there, but it's only because it's today. So it's great to have such wonderful people to work with, and I'm glad we're in the majority even on this call, which is about digital. which is a nice change. So a key channel for innovation that we find within our European networks is Donegal Digital. And it's been started back in 2014. And as mentioned by Joy, it's spearheaded by the local council, Donegal County Council. But it's a great group because it involves higher education. We have LYIT, we have Enterprise Ireland involved and Leo. The ETB is with us and the regional skills net, as well as Tata, Udras. We give project management services. We have community groups like the Inishowen Development Partnership and Donegal Local Development Company. So the whole idea behind Donegal Digital is to make sure that we don't miss out on the benefits of digital and emerging technology. So we work together as a partnership and resonate each other's initiatives and try and find ways to improve what's going on in the county. And we do this via an action plan. So I hope, I was going to show you a video, but I think I forgot to share the sound. But you can see this on donegaldigital.ie, so I'll skip that. Can you hear the sound? Okay.
Donegal has become a place of cutting-edge digital innovation. A place where tech entrepreneurs and remote workers thrive. A place where people love to live. Donegal Digital, empowered by a partnership of organisations led by the County Council, has built strong digital communities throughout the county, empowering startups and existing enterprises. We have already established a growing network of co-working digital hubs, igniting innovation. We are working with the government to accelerate high-speed broadband rollout. We've developed a training portal, making it easier for our people to learn new digital skills. We are creating the future by seeking investment in LYIT's digital research capability. And we apply digital technologies to key economic sectors, such as tourism and culture. These actions are empowered by our partners. Donegal Digital, facilitating your perfect work-life balance. Explore what our digital hubs have to offer. Visit donegaldigital.ie.
So that neat animation there leads me into what we do in Donegal Digital and how does that help SMEs? Well, if you want to help Donegal transform digitally, obviously the digital foundation of broadband is key, and that work done by the council to provide public Wi-Fi and broadband connection points has made a difference. And it also supports our network of digital innovation hubs. So I'll focus on those, even though we do work about promotion of disruptive technology and smart region initiatives as well. So the hubs network, it's a real asset to the county and it covers the length and breadth of the county and is still in development. You see there's 3 or 4 more coming soon as well. So why do they matter? Well, these are ideal locations for startups, for SMEs, remote workers, or as offshoots for large businesses, especially since COVID and the rise of remote working. And it's also central to what Donegal County Council has been doing with its very innovative remote working strategy for the county. So the hub managers are also another resource for innovation and advice and networking for small businesses. One example of a service that is coming, it's in development, so you won't be able to access it just yet, but it's a value-added digital hub service, which has been funded through Enterprise Ireland. And the aim of this one, innovation as a service, is to support manufacturing SMEs on advanced manufacturing, Industry 4.0. So that will allow local SMEs to discover how they can be supported by the likes of advanced technical centres like WISAR, which we'll be hearing about from Maria later, but other great centres that we have in Sligo and throughout the region without having to go and travel to them. So that's something to watch out for. I was going to just give a very quick overview on opportunity for SMEs, and it's been really well covered already by Eileen with the great access and that networking support that is there. So what I was just going to do, and without covering, I hope, what's going to be said later as well by other speakers on digital funding, this is an overview that how you can benefit. So there's grant programs from the Commission, funding platforms, loans and equity, and then we'll have our regional, sorry, what happened there? Okay, grant programs. So Horizon Europe was already mentioned by Eileen, and that under Horizon Europe, SMEs are eligible, though they would unlikely lead a project. But there are some, because it might be a bit complicated, but there's lots of opportunities there, and it's becoming a lot more friendly to SMEs. Because it's International Women's Day as well, I've highlighted two potential areas of interest for digital businesses led by women under the European Innovation Council, which is concerned with breakthrough in innovation and deep technology. And there's a number of other programs that could be of interest to people on this call, like the interregional investments from the European Investment for SMEs, SME Executive. And what I can do is, after the call, I guess Joy will share the presentations. So there's plenty of links in here which might help SMEs that are listening to find out more about these programs. And then funding platforms, I've given a list there of different kind of platforms that are signposts or ways you can register, subscribe for news. And I'm sure those kind of opportunities are also covered by the Enterprise Europe Network. So sorry if I'm duplicating what you were saying, Eileen, but there's another perspective on it for advanced tech. And then EU loans and equity is another area which could be another support for SMEs. And then we'll have our national programme coming through the Northwest Regional Assembly, which will be funded, channeled through our local enterprise offices and Enterprise Ireland. So what can you do? Just as in a conclusion, I would advise people to be proactive. It might seem like a massive amount of information, but if you investigate, you can find out which EU programs are relevant to you, register your interest, and take up those EU networking facilities. And in Donegal Digital, we always resonate any great information that we have. So follow us on Twitter at Donegal Digital. So that's me. So thank you very much. And if you want to contact for any further information, there's my email. So I'll be happy to get back to you if I can be helpful.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Margaret, for that. That's a really excellent insight into Donegal Digital and the work of ERNACT. And, you know, and I like your reference and your nod to International Women's Day. I think that's fantastic. And, you know, it's very important, you know, that women feel that they can come into the digital sector and participate in that digital transformation. So it's great to also hear about the funding and the other supports that are available to them. And indeed, all of the other supports that are out there as well, because I think that is a key challenge for businesses, is understanding how to you know, they can get involved, the different ways of getting involved in a project, you know, and also where to find the right information. So it's been able to zone in what's relevant and to be able to get access to that. So that's fantastic. And the digital hubs, I think, and across Donegal, you know, as we kind of move forward with remote working and new ways of working, and you know, and we look at things like the cost of fuel and all of that, climate change, you know, having those facilities available to do business and to run our businesses from is just vital for the county. So thank you very much. We're going to come back to that in the Q&A at the end. If anyone has any questions for Dr. Quinn, we'd be delighted for you to pop those into the Q&A. So our next speaker this afternoon is Keith Boner, and we're delighted again to welcome Keith. Keith is the Managing Director of Irish Fish Canners, and this is a family-run business based in Dunloe, and very much still a family-run organisation. So they are the largest and only fish canning facility in Ireland, and with their strategic North Atlantic location, Irish canners have access to some of the world's finest fish. And I suppose we've invited Keith along today, and we're pleased that he could give us his time. I know he's very busy, but he's been involved in a project called SAFER, which is an EU-funded project. And there was a flow manual system, I think it's called. Keith, obviously, I don't know far more about this than me, but he had access to travel to other member states as part of the project to see that. So Keith's going to give us an overview of his experience in getting involved with the SAFER project, and from a business perspective, he can tell us a bit more about what it was like to work alongside an EU project and to be involved. So I'll hand over to you, Keith. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, Joy. Hello, everybody. As Joy said, Keith Boner, Irish Fish Canners, Managing Director. The company has been in existence for 43 years. We can for some world-renowned brands, one of the biggest being John West. We are the only fish canning facility in Ireland. I suppose with the SAFER project, how it was brought to our attention was actually through our accounts manager, which we work in conjunction with in Udderus. So basically the project had come to light, and basically what SAFER is a cluster of different companies that are throughout the EU, and they, I suppose, work in conjunction with each other and are linked up through maybe Udderus or the county council and whatnot. So from our own point of view, it was brought to light. We were asked, was it something we were looking at? At that stage, we actually were looking at a stock take system, and we were looking at different companies throughout, I suppose, the world who could satisfy our needs. It was very, very expensive. And I suppose from our own point of view, it's very labor intensive because it was all done manually. So with that in mind, we actually ended up going to Brest in France, and we met the company. The company actually is Food and Tech. They're a Portuguese company. And I suppose that's kind of where the link was with Udderus and ourselves and Food and Tech. We did discuss what was needed from the company, and luckily enough, Food and Tech had actually worked with numerous food companies within Portugal, and also had put their systems into play with some fish canneries within Portugal. So I suppose from that point of view, then we looked at the project as a whole, what both parties needed, and whether it was the right fit for us. It actually did work out to be the right fit. And I suppose from that then what we did was we actually went to Portugal. We visited Food and Tech. We ran through, I suppose, the whole system and what it needed to be outlined, what we needed from the system. And we actually were very lucky because we actually got to visit two of the factories who were actually using their product. One was quite a large scale factory, so it was utilizing the system realistically to its maximum, which was very impressive because it actually, not alone was it a stock take, it also had figures within it where you could delve deeper, you know, the likes of waste, how much it was cost and time, how much, you know, if people were taking breaks, how long were they taking the breaks and all that. So it was very impressive. From there, then we did work together. They came on site to our factory facility to, I suppose, get the lay of our land, and within that, I suppose that started, you know, back in 2019. Currently, the system is actually in place and it's operational. Unfortunately, it's only around the 60% mark at the minute because we actually had two visits. We had the first visit, then the second two visits to finish it out, do the training with our staff. Unfortunately, COVID hit, travel restrictions and whatnot, but the support has been there. It's been there online. You know, we still are in communication with the guys, and with the restrictions lifted now, we're hoping within the end of this year that we can get the two visits and get it fully operational. But from our own point of view, we're more than happy with the system. It has made our life easier, and I suppose really you do need to have a good team who, you know, buy into the training and are willing to take this on. Change can be hard at times, but I suppose when people see the benefits and the fruits of it, it's a big help. And from our own point of view, we do feel, you know, it's going to, you know, you're going to roughly gain about 2 days of people doing stock takes where it's on the system. So from when it comes in the door, the raw material till it actually as the finished product goes out the door, it can be, it's tracked throughout the factory. And then, as I said, there is other tools within it that are, you know, are beneficial. That, you know, when we sit and we have to do costings for our customers, you know, we can pick up the data and all the information that is there. Now, it does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. I suppose I was the driving force through it with the project because of my knowledge of the business and I suppose what we needed out of the system itself. But within that too, as I say, look at, you know, the staff had to buy into it and see the benefits of it, which is very good, and they can see it now. And like we have probably about 4 or 5 people who are trained up within it, who are doing their daily chores into the system. It also is very helpful because we're a AA BRC company, which in turn then you can gather the information fairly quickly rather than having to go through folders upon folders of paperwork, you know. So it's very helpful digitized that way. What I would say, to be fair, we probably couldn't have achieved what we needed to achieve within the project, you know, without the support of others. They were very good. We worked closely together. So I suppose anybody that is going to look at this realistically needs a good relationship with whoever is helping out, because they took knowledge of from their side, with the help of you know, the applications for the support and the grant aid, and then I suppose from my point of view. So they learned a lot from our side and vice versa, you know. And look, it can be, I know people think when it goes to grants and whatnot, it's very arduous, but as I say, look, if there's good support there, and there's a good relationship, it does run smoothly. There is a lot of time and effort put into it, but the end goal is always very good, you know. I suppose that's kind of the outline of it. And look, at if anyone has any questions that they want to fire towards me, sure, we can go through that, and kind of, you know, I can answer anything after it, or when it comes to the question.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Keith, for that. And it's great to hear from the perspective of a business what it's like to be involved in an EU project. And you mentioned there in relation to good support, and I think that's what projects are. And an EU project, you have partners maybe in different countries and in your region, and working together and collaborating to deliver the results and to support each other is vital in a successful project. So thank you very much for that, Keith. And as we said, the Q&A is open there if anyone has questions they want to pop in. Our next speaker this afternoon is Maria Gallagher, and again, we're really happy that Maria can join us today. And Maria is Communications Officer at the WISAR Lab and Technology Gateway based in Letterkenny. And the WISAR Lab develops products and industry solutions in areas such as wireless, embedded systems and other related software. Maria herself is the Communications Officer, and she has worked closely with industry, both Indigenous and multinational, in various capacities in the last number of years, and has a huge amount of experience across a wide range of funding supports and initiatives. So Maria is going to tell us a little bit about how innovation is supported and fostered in the WISAR Lab. So I'll hand over to you, Maria. Thanks.
Thanks, Joy. I'm just going to share my screen here. We can all see that? Brilliant. Yeah. So thanks a million for the introduction, Joy, and thanks for putting on this session today. So as mentioned, I'm the Communications Officer here at the WISAR Lab. And today I'm just going to run through an overview of some of the innovation supports available to businesses, a little bit more about ourselves at WISAR and what we do, and just I'm going to finish off with a case study. So just here. So we were established in 2008 by Dr. Nick Timmins and Dr. Jim Morrison under the LYIT, soon to be Atlantic Technological University. And you'll see our campus here in the background photo. And so who we are, so we provide solutions to Irish industry for the Internet of Things, in expertise in wireless, embedded systems and power electronics. And I suppose since 2008, we have built a distinguished track record across a wide range of competencies. And we work with all kinds of businesses, from SMEs to large multinational corporations across all sectors, from agriculture to tourism to manufacturing and so forth. And I suppose in the lab, we have a cutting edge test bench with a range of equipment. And we're always adding to that, you know, in a bid to be responsive and sort of agile to the needs of our industry partners. We recently secured funding for $250,000 to purchase an anechoic chamber, which will facilitate testing on antennas and so forth. We also acquired a new state-of-the-art 3D scanning arm for our manufacturing partners in digitalizing their processes. So as well as that, we have a very experienced team of principal investigators, engineers, academics, and research staff. We're a member of the Enterprise Ireland Technology Gateway also, which is a nationwide resource for delivering solutions for problems for industry. And the Gateway network works in partnerships with institutes of technology and technological universities across the island of Ireland. And I suppose as part of that network, there's access to over 300 experienced researchers across 3 different clusters. And so the first cluster is the Irish Food Tech group. Then we have the Engineering, Materials and Design group. And finally, the Applied IoT cluster, of which we are a member. And the Applied IoT cluster applies state-of-the-art technologies to existing products, processes and services. So looking at what generally happens when we're working with businesses and innovation projects and what that looks like, our client engagement process usually starts with meeting the business and establishing what they're looking to do. So they may be looking to improve an existing process, or they may be looking to create a new product. So then we move on to complete a feasibility study, looking to how we can help. And sometimes we would signpost to a different gateway, or we would do the work ourselves, depending on the nature of the project. We would scope out the project and its costs. We would do the funding application, and then we would begin to work on the project at that point. So looking at the different supports for innovation, of which there are a wide array through Enterprise Ireland. So first of all, we have innovation vouchers, which are probably the most popular method in terms of ourselves and the different projects we do. So under the innovation voucher program, there's €5,000 worth of funding for businesses. And the funding goes to the research performing organisation, which would be ourselves in our case. We also have innovation partnerships, and under that, there's up to 80% of the project funded, from 85,000 up to $250,000, and that's dependent on the size of the organisation. And the funding, again, also goes to the body performing the research. There's a new scheme, the digitalisation voucher, and really the essence of that is to increase the digital maturity of companies. And under that scheme, there's up to €9,000 available, and funding goes to the consultancy firm who would be approved by Enterprise Ireland to complete an audit. And I suppose as part of that audit, they would identify ways that businesses could digitalise, and oftentimes businesses would then move on to actually do the work under the innovation voucher programme. Finally, we have the Exploring Innovation grant, and under that grant, which is 50% funded, it's up to a maximum of 35,000, and the funding will go direct to the SME, who would then subcontract to either a contractor or a research performing organisation such as ourselves. So following on from that, there's a number of additional supports by Enterprise Ireland that can deepen and further an innovation project. So companies can avail of 3 €5,000 fully funded innovation vouchers, followed by one 50% co-funded €10,000 voucher. We have an innovation partnership whereby up to 80% of eligible costs of research are covered, and that's capped according to the size of the organisation. Finally, we have the Agile Innovation Fund. Up to 50% of the project is funded, and it depends on the nature of the project in terms of what funding they would get, but it's a maximum of 150,000. So there's a wide array of supports here. I know they can be difficult to navigate, but if you want to get in contact with ourselves, if you have any queries, we'd be happy to guide you through that. So just moving on to a case study, and just to show you an example of an innovation project that we worked on, a company that I really think need no introduction given their recent successes, and also very apt given that it's International Women's Day, Content Llama. And so Content Llama are a technology company, and they've developed a platform that automates the collection, configuration and delivery of product content for e-commerce retailers. Based in Donegal and founded in 2019 by Karina Kelly and Jolie Nooney, who took part in the New Frontiers programme, which is the National Entrepreneur Development Programme. It's run by Enterprise Ireland and in partnership with the Institutes of Technology and Technological Universities throughout Ireland. So just looking at how this project came about, I suppose, in terms of the problem, Karina got in touch with WISAR, and she'd been working in e-commerce at the time. And I suppose we've all come to know, I suppose with e-commerce shopping, the different sharp images that you see and the details that you see online. And it's a very competitive environment, I suppose. And, there's no room to have any sort of inconsistencies within that. So while Karina was working in e-commerce, she identified this problem with the way that content is collated in online platforms. And so when photographers are taking, I suppose, photographs of images for e-commerce platforms, the whole procedures in terms of tagging the different products with the SKUs, with the colors, with the information, and trying to get that to sync with the database was very time consuming, required an awful lot of administrative work, and really was just a very messy process that sometimes took up to 50 steps to complete. So Karina thought there has to be a way to do this better and got in touch with ourselves. And our software developing team began to ideate solutions to this, and they developed a technology concept to suit Karina's specifications. Following on from that, WISAR developed a prototype. So it was initial bespoke prototype concept. And finally, we delivered a proof of concept. So an operational prototype solution was delivered based upon 3 simple rules. So simplifying that process. And without getting into too much around the technology of this, I suppose I mentioned, you know, sometimes this process could take up to 50 steps, and we've narrowed it down to 3. So really it would start off with the photographer would start with the product label, and the app would intelligently distinguish between product labels and product images, as you can see to the right of the screen there. And the photographer would then move on to take multiple photos of the product in sequence. And the app that WISAR developed would optimize those images in terms of color, in terms of size, to make them as sharp as possible. And then would extract the product identifiers, so the colors, the SKUs, from the label images. And then the label images would act as placeholders. So the app would recognize that every time a label was photographed, that represented a new product, and will go into the database and find the product to match that photo. So really, the work that was carried out really simplified a very costly, time-consuming process down to 3, condensed it down to 3 simple steps. So where are they now? I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have seen the PR that they've had recently, and Enterprise Ireland use the tagline global ambition, and I think Content Llama really epitomise that. They have clients such as Walmart, Airrent International, Lifestyle Sports, and they collaborate with over 3,600 global brands from L'Oreal to the North Face. They're a company with huge scale. They recently secured 2.5 million in funding for global expansion with high profile investors. And they have a growing team of 42 employees at the moment, and 20 more jobs to be created in the coming period. So, I mean, this is an amazing story of someone who saw a problem and thought there has to be a better way to do this, and has really taken that idea internationally. And so just to kind of finish off today, I just wanted to leave you with this quote from Thomas Edison: "There's a better way to do it, find it." I think it really sums up innovation, because I know it's become a bit of a buzzword. I know it's become one of those things where maybe companies are thinking, oh, innovation, that's a really high technological solution. It can be, but it can also be something really simple. And it could just be a process in your business, a quality control procedure that's manual, that you could digitalize. So, you know, in the words of Thomas Edison, it's about finding a process and how can we do it better. And that's all from me today. Thanks a million for listening. If you have any information about any of the supports or anything that I mentioned today, please contact me on maria.gallagher@lyit.ie. You'll find us on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook also. And we'd be more than happy to help any business who is thinking about starting their innovation journey. Thanks.
Thank you, Maria. That was really excellent and fantastic work that you're doing there in the WISAR lab with businesses. And, you know, as you said about global ambition, that's really what it's all about. And you know, it's and often EU projects are about starting with what is the problem and defining that, and then looking at what solutions are there. And it's, as you say, it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. It can be a simple solution. So no, that's absolutely a fantastic insight into the work that you do there in the WISAR lab. So thank you for that. Our final speaker for this afternoon's I think I went off there. Apologies, you lost my audio there. our final speaker this afternoon, we've a slight change in that. So we were going to have Dan Turkic from the B2EU Consulting. Dan, unfortunately, has been delayed on a flight. So his colleague, Zeynep Yıldızeli, I hope I pronounced that correctly, has very kindly stepped in at the last minute. And she is going to give us an overview of the various EU funding supports and opportunities that are out there. B2EU Consulting are a company based in Brussels, and they specialise in supporting organisations and businesses to find the right funding for them. And they also provide services such as training and consultancy in the whole area of EU funding and policy. So I'll hand over to you now, Zeynep. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joy. Apologies from Dan, but my name is Zeynep Yıldızeli. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. In the meanwhile, I'm sharing my presentation. So can you see my presentation? As Joy very well actually summarize a quick word on B2EU Consulting, what we do. We're Brussels-based boutique consultancy focusing on the EU and general public funding, public affairs and governmental relations, as well as business to government. So we basically work and support the companies from monitoring and influencing EU policymaking, but also accessing for them to access the existing EU and public funding opportunities, or even create new ones. I will briefly talk about how EU funding works, but I know that most of you know very well, so I'll be brief on this. So the EU has different funding programs that are managed by either EU institutions or agencies, or directly by the member states, or sometimes shared management system. Most of the EU funded projects involve collaboration between organizations from different countries. It's actually, when it comes to some proposals, are mandatory have more than one partner from different member states. If it is not mandatory, highly encourage to have different member states being involved in the project. So there are different types of funding that was already mentioned, from direct grants to financial instruments like loans, guarantees, subsidies, to also public procurements. Of course, each funding program and individual call, even I would say, they have different criteria to be eligible, but SMEs are usually mostly eligible for most of the funds. But yeah, when you're applying for a specific program and a call for proposal, it normally should serve the interests of the EU or specific agenda or priority of EU policy. So in a nutshell, as you know, this is how the EU funding works. I will now talk about specific programs that we, based on our experience, think that is the best for SMEs at the moment, for especially in digitalization. Actually, they were mentioned by Dr. Quinn very correctly. Maybe I'll be further giving further information for each of them. Of course, I will start with Horizon Europe. This is the principal funding for research and innovation projects in the EU. Any kind of projects carried out by organizations or even individuals. This is a big one. It has a budget of 95.5 billion, but this is the very big and horizontal funding, I would say, that has also sub programs that I can specifically recommend for SMEs, starting with European Innovation Council. This is basically 70% of its budget goes to SMEs. This is basically to support projects and for startups with a scale-up potential and especially targeting market creating innovation projects. So this is very specific for SMEs and startups under Horizon Europe. It also supports strategic technology and innovation challenges in general. And the second one, yeah. So this is a European Institute of Innovation and Technology. It is under Horizon Europe budget, but it's actually an independent and independent institute supporting entrepreneurial talent and new ideas. I think the main point of this institute is that it brings together businesses, big businesses like some leading businesses in the market, together with universities, research organizations, with some SMEs, which is for SMEs sometimes is really not easy to reach and partner up with this kind of organization. So this is a bit of the purpose of this Institute of Innovation and Technology. And it helps developing innovative products and services, start new companies, as well as train a new generation of entrepreneurs. And the third one that I would like to mention is actually the ecosystem bringing up together, working together with the previous two entity that I talked about under Horizon Europe. This is European Innovation Ecosystems. It mainly, again, supports the scaling of companies and innovation. It brings up people or organization whose goal is actually putting together the ecosystem for SMEs especially, and to work on innovation and research mainly. So this was a bit of Horizon Europe. Horizon Europe is very detailed and big, and but I just wanted to touch upon some of the sub-programs that are usually not that known. I will continue with the second program, which is InvestEU program. This is the financial support for investments. This is a continuation of a very successful investment plan for Europe that was carried out between 2015 and 2020. And now InvestEU program is the continuation and taking over the to provide long-term funding for businesses, especially startups, SMEs, that are not necessarily, that cannot access any investments. So a part of this InvestEU fund, there are three different pillars, but that I would like to talk is the funding part. This is expected to mobilize 372 billion of public and private investments. Yes, this is a combination of two through an EU budget guarantee of 26 billion euros. There are implementing partners to carry out these fundings and investments, actually to evaluate as well. And the main one is a European Investment Bank. That actually successfully carried out the previous investment instrument, European Fund for Strategic Investments in the past. The following one that I would like to talk about is Digital Europe program. This is actually a small budget one and maybe not the one of the main ones, but I would like to stress on this one. It has a 9.2 billion euro budget, but it specifically focuses on digital transformation of SMEs. Aim at creating digital innovation hubs, and particular attention goes to development of artificial intelligence. This program will fund cooperation activities in the use of supercomputing, development of advanced digital skills, high capacity digital networks, and activities that increase resistance to cyber attacks. And the last program that I would like to specifically talk today is the Connecting Europe Facility program. Is one of the, again, key programs of the EU. is the big ones. It supports development of high-performing, sustainable, efficiently interconnected trans-European networks in the fields of particularly transport. Maybe you're familiar with the transport projects, but also energy and digital services. So the part that is related to the digital, CEF, digital with a budget of 2 billion, supports public and private investment in digital connectivity infrastructures. And main actions will focus in particular on gigabit and 5G network across the EU. So with this, with the time, I wanted to focus on a few programs that is particularly that we can recommend to the SMEs in digitalization, digital transformation. But if you have any further questions, anything that you would like to ask, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you so much.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Zeynep. And that was really useful to see the various programs at EU level that are available to SMEs. So we really appreciate that. I might ask you to stop sharing screen there, and we'll go to our gallery view now. Just bear with me a moment for our Q&A. So if anyone has any questions for our panel, please do pop those in the Q&A at the bottom, and we'll do our best to answer those and address them. So just, I suppose, from my own perspective, and you know, it's been a really insightful webinar, and you know, there's a lot there for SMEs, and I think some of the challenges around that maybe businesses would be thinking of would be, you know, is there a lot of administration, or, you know, how do I get involved? Where do I go for information on that? So what I might do is maybe to start with Dr. Quinn in ERNACT, and just say from her perspective, you know, how she feels in relation to, you know, businesses, and what might be the top tips for getting involved there.
I think I said in my final slide in the presentation to be proactive, and the kind of information that we just got there in that presentation from Yıldızeli, excuse the pronunciation, gave a great highlight of all the different European programs, and also with Eileen's outreach there about the European networks that businesses can avail of. So there are lots of opportunities for SMEs, and in the new program the trend is to be more SME friendly. I guess innovation is becoming more and more, it needs to be tested out in society, and moving away from just doing things in a pure kind of research environment. So I think all of those trends are supporting SME involvement. From the point of view of ERNACT, if our projects are largely directed to innovation agencies and the public sector, but we do have projects, and one, Keith today was testimony to one of our projects, Safer, where there was a technology pilot, and by getting involved through a local organisation, Uderas, that allowed Keith's company to fast track their innovation and get real good learning and reduce the risk on innovation by learning from another European region. Yeah. So whenever we do get projects where the target is SMEs, we will, we've got a very good marketing channel within ERNACT, and we replicate that for every project we have. So we would call out the need and publicise the opportunity locally.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, Margaret. Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I suppose that's a key thing. There's different ways that SMEs can get involved. You know, maybe it's not directly, maybe it's through a public organisation, for example. So I just see a question in here from Sinead Rafferty in our Q&A, and I'll put this to the panel just if anyone has any insight. what fund is available or relevant for the education sector? I'm looking for funding for our product, which involves collaborative software for the history classroom. Thank you. So I'm wondering, has anybody got any advice for Sinead in relation to that?
Hi, Joy. Just from our own perspective, it would depend on the background. We probably need more information in terms of, well, funding generally isn't sector specific anyway, but is it, you know, are they a company, are they a social enterprise, or it could be something for the local enterprise office if they're not a company. So it would really depend on, from our perspective, what the formation is there. But it generally speaking, supports on our end aren't really sector specific.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you for that, Maria. Yeah, I think it's a case of, you know, if we have a little bit more information in relation to that, you know, it may be something that the Digital Europe program might be relevant to, or Horizon Europe. I'm not sure if any of the other panel members have a comment in relation to that. Zeynep, do you want to come in here?
Just to add, I agree with like it depends on the topic, but it also, like, Erasmus Plus is always a program for encouraging with the trainings, and especially now online courses are trainings and education related programs, of course depending on the proposal and the sector, but just wanted to add on top, additional to what was just said.
That's great, Zeynep. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I think when we think of education, it's often, you know, Erasmus Plus does spring to mind as well. I suppose a question for Eileen, maybe in relation to the Enterprise Europe network, and that can be a challenge for businesses, is finding a partner internationally. Have you any tips for them in terms of, you know, how they could quickly get involved in the network?
They can just contact me directly. We have that database there, so that's available on the website always, and the opportunities are there, whether they're business, technology, and just in relation to what Margaret and some of the others were saying earlier too about the project calls and that, there would often be in the research and development side people looking for a partner for a project call. So that's another place that people can keep an eye out for opportunities there within the EEN database. And then there's just that opportunity to provide the information and connect them locally with whatever region they're looking at or exploring, or whatever piece of information. If it's something, the digitization or that, we'll have the sector group up and running shortly. We'll have representation on it. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, Eileen. Thank you very much for that. And I think, you know, as we mentioned earlier, we'll make available the contact information of all our speakers today, so anyone wanting to get in touch can do so. A question has come in here for Maria. Maria, you mentioned as part of the client engagement process that a feasibility study is an essential step. Can you outline funding sources for that, or do SMEs tend to fund that themselves? Or maybe that's part of one of the packages you provide in relation to funding. Oh, you're on mute, Maria, sorry.
Sorry there. Thanks for that, Rosita. I suppose in terms of the client engagement process, I suppose I've used feasibility twice in that respect, but we would kind of look at the feasibility of us conducting the project. I suppose first, is it something we can do? Is it something that maybe another organization are better able to facilitate? Like if it was something in food, we'd probably reference it to the Irish Food Tech. So in that would be part of our process. So there wouldn't be, you know, there wouldn't be funding required for us to assess the feasibility of a proposal from a company or an organization. But in terms of if it's a business looking to see is what they're thinking on doing feasible, I would recommend you could come to ourselves and we can signpost supports if you want to do a thorough feasibility study. And I would recommend the Exploring Innovation Grant, or you could look at doing a digitalization voucher, and the consultancy firm will do an audit and they'll outline various actions you can take that would be feasible. So I suppose it depends on what exactly the client's looking to do, but the first point of contact is always to get in touch with ourselves, and we'll...
I think have we lost Maria there? I think she might have frozen.
Sorry there.
I think
Joy,
you froze for a second or two.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, so the first point of contact is always to get in touch with ourselves, and we can then reference or signpost to the relevant funding support.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic, Maria. Thank you very much. And just I know what our time is nearly up here, so I suppose just one final question in relation to EU projects, and I think I can put this to anyone. If you had to give a business or an SME one tip or one piece of advice in relation to EU funding, what would that be? So I'll open that to anyone that wants to come in from experience of being involved in a project or from knowledge of what it involves. Mm-hmm. Anybody want to jump in? Keith, would you like to come in there?
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's like everything. You just need to make sure that the project's right for you. The partnership with the company that you're going to work alongside is the right fit. Like funding's all very well because the funding is there. It's just getting it right. It's getting the right partnership. The biggest thing you will hear from people within companies, I know myself from past experience and different projects that we have done with machinery and whatnot, it's after sales is massive. Like if you don't have the after sales, you're seriously in bother, you know. So you need to make sure it's a correct fit for the company, and it's also a correct fit for both as a partnership. That if you have a problem, that it could be in the middle of the night or whatever, you can ring in, or you know, there's somebody on standby that can turn around and sort out the problem fairly quickly and fairly rapidly for you. And I suppose, look, at it's all to do with training and whatnot, but like research is massive, and trying to get the correct fit and correct partnership, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, Keith. That's very sound advice, I think, for any businesses. It's about the right fit and the right partnership and doing your research and making sure that it's the right opportunity for you. So unless anyone has any further comments there, I think we might wrap it up. So all that remains is for me to say a huge thank you to all of our attendees that have joined the webinar this afternoon, and also a huge thank you to all of our speakers today. We really appreciate you taking the time to host or to join this event as part of, as we say, Enterprise Week 2022, and putting the wind in your sails, I think, is the theme that's here, and hopefully that information you've got today has helped to do that for you. So thanks to everyone again. We've it recorded, we'll make it available afterwards. If anyone has any questions, they can get in touch with us here at economic development at donegalcoco.ie, and we'll be in touch. So have a great day, and I hope that was useful, and thanks again. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, Joy. Bye.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Joy. Bye-bye.